Hang on a second, though. We're talking about Auckland, that's fine, but let's just think a little bit more about urban New Zealand more widely. We're a rather weird country in that we define ourselves largely by our wild and rural parts. It's kind of how we define ourselves as New Zealanders, and yet with 87% of us living in towns and cities, we're one of the most urbanised people in the world, but that's not how we define ourselves. And if we look at urban New Zealand, not just our main cities, but smaller towns, pretty much without exception, they are very anemic economically and very weak in terms of urban environment and design and the rest. So we've got these big problems in urban New Zealand generally. We've got some chronic ones in Christchurch because of earthquakes. And yet the task that faces Christchurch in many ways is the same task that faces all other urban communities in New Zealand, but rather than having the dramatic earthquake effect, they're going to have to transition in some other way. So what sort of stimulus, what sort of encouragement might we give to the rest of urban New Zealand about how we define ourselves as urban New Zealanders and what we do with our towns and cities? I think
before we go into that, I grew up in a small town in New Plymouth, and one of the things that I noticed really about New Plymouth, being a West Coast city, it's got some good things about it, but you know, from an economic heart, it was really one of those places that really struggled. If you didn't have a particular skill in something, like if you weren't in the petrochemical industry, or you weren't into farming, then you know what was it that you could rely on for your income, your work. And I just remember a great way to sum up New Plymouth was McKechnie Metals, which is a big metal producing factory out at Bell Block, and they would have their good years and have their bad years, and there were people who would get employed one year and the next year they're laying off, you know, 200 people, and there was just no stability about it. And it just really said to me that, you know, these small towns and cities really lack, and around New Zealand at the moment, seem to lack this real strength economically that they can feed off. Because if you've got the strength economically and you've got the businesses and you've got the industry and you've got the things that's going on there, then people are spending money and things are going on and they're happening, and they become resilient through that power that's given to them through the almighty dollar. And I think that for New Zealand, we've got to find a way of actually trying to achieve that in all these small places that are around as well, so that they can actually survive on their own. But I must say, I wouldn't have thought of New Plymouth as being anemic. No. And I have to say, I wouldn't have thought of, to pick up on that point, I wouldn't have thought of Napier as being anemic. Palmerston North, perhaps, a little bit. Going balmy and palmy. But I think a lot of the smaller towns in New Zealand are...
Kirikiri, my God. It's like
Nelson. God, go to Nelson and tell them they're anemic.
Yeah.
They've all been eating nuts and raisins. They're full of health and vitality. You know, I think the advent of the wine industry, surely to God, has put anemia to rest in most of small town New Zealand. I mean, I don't find it so.
So thank you very much for coming this evening. Thank you very much to our panellists. Thank you very much to the online audience as well. Please do come back the next 3 Thursday evenings, 6:30 to 8, to be part of those other discussions. Thank you and good night.